live. We're done starting. You're live!
Oh my gosh.
I think.
We think.
I haven't seen it come up on Sammy's yet, but I think you'll be there.
Oh gosh. Wouldn't that be great if that were true?
It should, oh my God.
No? Yes? Maybe?
It's kicking in. There you are.
I am there. I see it. I don't see me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, wait a minute. I got to turn this off. We got echoing. Okay.
Okay. So
there we are.
Where are we?
You're in the middle of the screen, baby.
Oh my gosh. Well, hi everybody. This is Ginger Cook, in case you were wondering. And you're thinking, well, why, we guessed that already. That wasn't the big question of the night. So good. I'm glad to hear that. I want to welcome everybody to our Monday night live broadcast. This is sort of fun. We're kind of waiting for people to stream in, so to speak. You know, the notice will go out. What happened?
I get it. Streaming. So they can't hear me. Can anybody hear me at all? If you can hear me, let me know.
Yeah, let us know if you can hear John, okay?
Because this is totally new equipment.
We've got all brand new equipment. We upgraded our equipment over the weekend because we got tired of that buffering stuff. And this is plans, I think this is about plan F now, all right?
Yeah, this is plan F.
This is $200 later in plan F. We're hoping this works, okay?
Really can't wait to hear what Ginger has to say about abstracts.
All right, well, you know, here's what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to talk about abstracts, and we're going to answer some questions. People think that abstracts are just almost like paint spatters, kind of like a Jackson Pollock, and then you hope for the best, and if something looks pretty good, you sign your name. And there's really actually some planning that involved in abstracts, and the same rules that apply to any good composition of a painting. There should be a center of interest. There should be some lights and darks. If you took a photograph of it, it shouldn't all look like one kind of shade of gray, even though you did a lot of colors. So, and you know, your light is light, your dark is dark should be sort of near where your center of interest is. Those kinds of things. So even though there's no subject, then you're not painting a chair or you're not painting a table or a person, what you're doing is you're evoking feeling through color. And color really is interesting because color has a profound effect on the human being's senses. In fact, there was this study done back in the, in the early 1980s in California, and I read an article in the San Diego paper, and I would love to have heard the rest of the study. But what they found was that color so affected people, I mean, actually particular colors, that they took this as like a salmon color, you know, kind of a combination between, you know, salmon and peach and all that stuff, right? And they were able to, you know, have somebody say, lift weights. And then they had them stare at this color for a while, and they found that they couldn't lift the weights anymore. It just took all the pizzazz right out of it, all the energy, just kind of drained away. And they found that if they painted, you know, the inside of, holding rooms and stuff in jails, that color, in prisons, that color, that it stopped a lot of aggression. Because it was, but conversely, for instance, if you were going to the grocery store and you were going to try a new product, they pretty much found that if there was some red on the label and you didn't know anything about anything else about the product, you would gravitate toward the red, okay? And for instance, having a little red in a painting is never a bad idea if you want to sell it. I'm just saying, it's a little tiny bit, not overwhelming red, but a little bit of red in a painting, you know, can be appealing, okay? Conversely, my mother, who was an artist, used to my adopted mother, Lucille Wilkins, she was an artist, and she painted all in beiges and browns and had no red. She had no color in her paintings whatsoever, and they were nice. And, you know, a lot of people will go for pure neutral. I knew an artist in Houston who had the same publisher I did, and I'm laboring away doing, you know, what I consider to be pretty great works of art. And, you know, they were publishing them and selling them as prints all over the world. And she's slapping on these, really crummy looking abstracts, mostly black with some red somewhere. And she was selling them like crazy. And my agent said, you know, you could do more of those. And I got to tell you, I couldn't bring myself to do it. I mean, I could see that she was selling them. I mean, intellectually, I could see that would work. But that wasn't in me, because at some point, you know, you've got to kind of be true to yourself too. So we're going to talk tonight about how to create an abstract and bring out sort of your inner self. It's not about copying somebody else now. This is sort of about kind of, I don't know, we can't play music on our broadcasts because none of us have figured out how not to get bumped by YouTube because they think somebody's music, they get all crummy about it. So, but I would suggest, you know, just kind of shutting the door to your studio, putting on some sort of music that sort of inspires you, and do an abstract to music. And don't worry about what I did. Just sort of practice these techniques. And while we're doing it, we're going to do it with we're going to do a combination of brush and palette knife. And the reason we're doing that is so that you can kind of get, we're going to layer it. In other words, it's just not going to be a flat abstract. And we could continue it on. For instance, we could continue on if we wanted to, using string gel on top of that, pouring meeting on top of that. We could layer an abstract. There's just no telling. The thing of it is that you want pleasing colors. And then the other exciting thing tonight is we will announce the winner of the painting that we were giving away. If you got our newsletter, so we sent over 2,000 newsletters out. And I'm going to just say, here's our here's this painting that's going to be given away, and it's Honduras Hideaway, right? Getaway, Honduras Getaway, and this is an original painting from one of our trips, you know, that John and I have taken. And we basically said, if you read our newsletter, we have hidden in the newsletter 3 secret words. Now, we weren't trying to be funny. A lot of people wrote in and said, "Old dead guys." That wasn't a secret word. You hear me say that all the time. The words were so incongruent. That means that for those of you who this is your second language and she's going, "I don't know what she just said. What'd she say, Arthur? I don't know. What does incongruent mean?" Incongruent means out, just doesn't fit, okay? A square peg in a round hole kind of thing. A word that has no relationship to anything in the subject. And we had 3 words, and they were watermelon, octopus, and motorcycle. So if you had... It had nothing to do with anything we had in the whole newsletter. But the reason we did it, I know it's very selfish, and I'm sorry about that, but the reason we did it was because statistically about 10% of all newsletters are even read and opened or anything. I thought, I know, let's figure out a way to get people to at least read the newsletter. We went to a lot of trouble to write it. So some people read it 15 times looking for the secret word. So we're sorry about that.
49 times was the record.
49 times was the record. So, to get those secret words. And if you didn't get a secret word, we wrote it. If you didn't get it correctly, we tried to write you back, assuming that didn't go into your spam folder, and say, try again. That wasn't correct. So if you didn't hear from us, then you were correct. But of course, if you didn't have octopus, watermelon, or motorcycle, then you weren't correct. All right. So those were the 3 words. So a little later in the drawing, probably about another 15 minutes or so, or during one of our drawing times, we'll go ahead and do the drawing one to let people catch up. So John, if you would be so kind, come follow along with me. We're going to answer these questions. What are warm and cool colors? What are abstract? When do we want? How do we pick it? And so forth. So let's go ahead and do that. If you want to come on down and just focus now, please, on our canvas. Now, I found these canvases at Jerry's. This was an 8 by 20. Don't you think that's kind of cool? See, it says 8 by 20. I don't even have to get out my rod. And I thought this would be an interesting thing for an abstract.
Can I ask one question that came up before we get into it? Artsy Morjack, he asked, what makes an abstract paint bad, and what makes a masterpiece, and why are they so expensive?
Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You know what I'm saying? I mean, have you ever heard the story of the Emperor's New Clothes, where there was the Emperor was a charmingly vain peacock of a guy who always wanted fancy clothes, and everybody was constantly making him new outfits. And when he ever had a new outfit, he'd go have a parade. I know some women like that. Go, oh, I got a new outfit, got to have a party, right? And anyway, so it was such an extreme story, and this is an old tale, like 1,000 years old tale. So this has been going on for a time. And so then in the story, he goes, so these 2 con men, approach him and say, look, he said, we've got the most beautiful fabric ever that we can make you an outfit out of. And the thing of it is, what's so special about it, nobody can see it unless you're if you're a royal blood or extremely smart. And then those people can see it, no one else can see it. And the king goes, oh, that's for me. And so then he puts on the outfit, if the story goes, for those of you who haven't heard it, and he's parading down the street, and nobody wants to, he's stark naked, but nobody wants to tell him that because for fear that they would look, either they weren't of royal blood or they would look stupid. Now, isn't that kind of, and so at that point, some little boy shouts out from the crowd, hey, how come the king doesn't have any clothes on? Because this kid isn't worried about either thing. So there's a little bit of a kid in this. Sometimes when you'll go and you'll look at abstracts, sometimes you're looking at that and there's a little kid inside of us that's going, that sucks. Doesn't anybody else see that but me? And that's okay. That's all right. If that's how you feel about it, sometimes that's okay. So what is it? Again, the question is, what does it make a good abstract? For years, and I got that, there's a man by the name of Jack White. I read it in his book. I didn't make this up. He said that back during the Cold War, there were some some communist agents that were buying a lot of abstract art at exorbitant prices to try and undermine the American art culture. And I think, well, that's kind of silly. They just helped a bunch of artists who had good alignment. Good for them. But mostly what happened was, before, in those days, and I remember my mother telling me, before you could submit an artwork to art museum, they had to see some real stuff first before you could just throw up an abstract. And for instance, Picasso could probably have, he was such a great artist that he could probably have counterfeited money to that kind of degree of accuracy. That's how good he was, okay? But basically, abstracts, what they're kind of nice is that they evoke a sense of color, light, and balance, and they don't, there's no story in them. For instance, like, here's a story here of my even though it's sort of an abstract fashion, there's something called figurative abstract where you sort of suggest something, and this is almost that with this, with this vase, okay? But again, it's a vase. Okay, so if you had for instance, if you were an attorney's office, for instance, and you needed some artwork, maybe flowers aren't what you want to put on the wall. Maybe that's not the message you want to convey. And so you're trying to think. So a lot of times abstracts do very well because they fill large spaces. Usually they're very big, and they allow decorators to add color without saying anything. There's no statement about them. It's just there it is. So I don't know. So that's part of it. But they still have to follow the example of good design, balance, and all that stuff. So that being said, here was a small abstract I did just over the weekend. We showed you that in the picture. And it's a combination of warm and cool colors. Now, warm colors are like orange and yellow and red, okay? And cool colors are your blues and greens and so forth. So generally speaking, a painting is either predominantly warm or cool, whether it's an abstract or not. You want to pick something. For instance, like if you saw this this painting of the violets, it's these purples are sort of cool. This painting is predominantly cool. There's a little warm with some of this yellow green, but it's predominantly a cool painting, cool colors. Here's a painting that everybody that subscribes to our membership at gingercooklive.gallery, they get a new painting every week. All right, new lesson every week. Sometimes they're very simple, sometimes they're more complicated. This one with this window, and again these lilacs, get kind of a little bit different than this one. Is that because we've introduced these two lemons, which are very, very warm, as accents? Okay, it's almost a more interesting painting than this, isn't it? Because there's a combination of you see a little bit of warm in here with the reds on the table. Okay, but this painting is predominantly, again, cool. The blue window, the purple, and so forth. A few of these warm lemons and a little bit of those red flowers. So that's what we mean by warm and cool colors. And if you would look at any painting that you like and just look at it, what is it that I like? Did they have a little accent? They predominantly had it either warm or cool, and then there was a little accent of something that really grabbed you. Okay, so that's what we're going to go for.
How many cookies is that lesson, please?
This one? Yeah. This one is probably about 3 cookies. About 3 cookies. It's not that hard, really. If you were able to do this one, okay, this is actually an easier vase to draw, and the lemons aren't that hard. Okay, you've got the window. You're going to want to tape the window and so forth. But really, it's really, if you could do this one, you should have no trouble doing that one. And this is one of my favorites, and it was inspired by one of the old dead guys. How's that? Okay, and he had a lot more stuff in here, and I just sort of simplified it. All right, so that was the genesis of that painting. So All right, so while we're talking about that, let's go ahead and put out some colors. And I don't know, can you zoom in on my rose? This is a painting. We couldn't find it. I was going to bring it out. This is the Rainbow Rose. This is one of our lessons on gingercooklive.gallery. And one of the things I loved about this rose was the fact that it's predominantly warm. You see with the greens and the oranges and stuff and the pink, and then there's some cool accents. There's some warm and cool greens in there. And I thought I would use this color scheme for our picture tonight. And I thought it was really pretty, okay? So that's my plan, is to use this, but we're not going to paint a flower, but that's my color scheme. So I have something sort of in mind. So one of the things I'm going to do is put out the, and if you're wondering what this is all about, while I'm showing you that, we have been fortunate enough, last spring we did a really cool auction of some of my artwork, but John had to do it all by hand, kind of tell people where they were. And so it was successful, so we went ahead and bought some auction software, and just to retest it again to make sure it all worked, and putting out some magenta and different colors here. We went ahead and started another auction on our website of these. These are out of print puzzles. You can't get them anywhere. They were just some of the samples that they gave me, and I had some, and I'm a hoarder. I was reluctant to even kind of let them go, but I went ahead and said, yeah, let's let these go. And so there's eight different puzzles, 8 different ones, and then we have some imagination claws on there too. There's 8 of them. There's 2 pages of claws. I wanted to tell people that in case they weren't sure about and the imagination claws. Do we have an example of one, John? I can show people.
Absolutely.
I can show you what that is. And this isn't really a sales pitch. I just wanted to give everybody a hint, what we're doing. The opportunity to know it, and this was, I thought, sort of fun. You'll notice that I'm always using rags to wipe. I'm not a big fan of paper towels to wipe your brush on. I always use these claws, and so I found some really nice labels that I had custom made up, and here it is. It says original Ginger Cook Imagination Cloth, and so that's just something sort of to hang in your studio and imagine stuff. And so I think we have like 8 claws.
We have 6 currently.
6 current claws, because I wash and use these over and over again. And finally, we're letting a few go. So that's our auction, and like I say, there's 8. And John, it's really cool when you take he took a picture of the cloths, and you can see both sides of them. He shot pictures of both sides, and each one's different, so you can bid on the one you like, if you wanted one. I'm not saying you do, but if you wanted one, you certainly could do that. All right, so we got some yellow oxide, some phthalo blue, some ultramarine blue, some cad red medium, and ultramarine blue. And I want to thank everybody who participated in our 3-color challenge, joined me live. I'm going to move this Southern Ocean blue over here, move the sticker. It's too close to my white, and I don't like it. Let's move it over here, okay? This is Southern Ocean blue. If you don't have it, it's just a combination of ultramarine blue and phthalo blue. Phthalo blue and phthalo green, sorry. So it's just a combination of those two with Southern Ocean blue. It's only made by Matisse, but if you didn't have that, you could certainly... Well, you know what? I just put out phthalo green, so never mind. That's phthalo green, huh? What happened to my Southern Ocean blue? Well, that's the color we're using. So let's just take that back. That's phthalo green, in case anybody wants to know. And let's see, I needed ultramarine blue and cad red medium. So I like to get, sometimes people don't put out all the colors they're going to use. I like to do that because, did you see this? We only used 3 colors here, and we got all these shades of color with just 3 colors in white. And that's why it's sometimes very helpful when you're trying to mix colors, if you would just put out all your colors, so then you can get a little this or get a little that. It's like cooking a meal and having to go to the grocery store for an ingredient every time you need something, rather than having it all out in your kitchen. So that's why you want to put all the colors out on a palette that you think you might be using. All right, so this was fun. If you haven't seen this video, this was really fun, step by step on how to do this. And this was after Claude Monet, and this was houses on the river. And that was fun if you haven't had a chance to do that. All right, so we've got a big canvas here from Jerry's. I'm gonna hit it. Do you hear this? Hear the thump? That's not, this is pretty much typical of any stretch canvas. This is done by a machine at a factory. You know, it's not, they're not hand done or anything. Not that that would make them better, but I'm just saying they're all hand, you know, like this. So I'm spraying water on the back. Someone asked me the other day, how much water? You know, I don't know, just doesn't really matter. You're shrinking it. Just think of the times in your laundry where you shrunk stuff. How's our feed doing, John? Are we doing pretty good?
Well, we had a little bit of a buffer issue there and covered fairly quickly.
Well, that's pretty good. So I want to just introduce John Little to you while we're talking. John Little is our executive producer. He's the partner in GingerCookLive.gallery, our Academy of Fine Art, where we offer art lesson and personal art coaching to people. Okay, so now let's see, how do we do? Better, huh? Better, could be a little better. Now, one of the things you can do, what this does is it shrinks and tightens the canvas. That's a fairly big canvas. You can then, hot water works really like a champ. Really hot water, that works. That'll shrink it in a heartbeat. And then so does just hitting it with the hairdryer. Can I do that real quick, John?
Yeah, let me just, hold on a second.
He's going to try and turn my
Okay, ready?
yeah.
Can you guys hear me? I'm not sure what I'm hooked up to here on this one. Default device. I don't know what that is. Well, the echo's going to go away because they were both on. Now, I don't have you back up yet. So just hang on a second there, Miss Ginger.
Okay.
I'm changing mine to that.
Can they hear you?
Yeah, I think. Because is it echoing now?
I don't know. Are we echoing?
No, well, you shouldn't be. I don't have you up. At first, but not now. Okay. All right, I'm going to put her back on.
This is better.
There you are. It's already
More-
got color on. Look at that.
Yeah, well, my hands are dirty from that. All right, so this is better. Okay, so what I want to do here is I just want to, I want to lay some color on kind of with a big brush. I'm going to take a little water and a large brush. This is a ruby satin silver brush, and it's a number 12. So I'm using a fairly large canvas. And I think what I want to do is probably take a little bit of white and a little bit of phthalo green and a little bit of yellow, okay? And maybe a little yellow oxide like that. And I'm just going to come through here like that, and I'm going to just pull some color this way, okay? Now, the trick, what I'm doing, I'll get a little water out here. What I'm doing, let's see, do I have any water in there? I don't. Put a little water in there. All right, what I'm doing is I'm going to put on sort of a kind of a group of colors that are just, here's a little yellow oxide. I'm just going to sort of sweep on some colors here. This is my color underneath the color underneath the color. And here's a little white here with a little yellow oxide maybe. And I'm just going to, you know, in other words, I need something on this to start with, okay? Maybe a little phthalo blue here like that. Pull that here like this. And let's try something a little darker. Let's try a little ultramarine blue down here. Maybe put a little bit of magenta with it so we kind of darken that up. And what we're going to do is just, let's see, a little bit of water on the brush, because I'm not trying to make this real thick. This is just sort of, I need a base to, you know, to kind of play with. So here's a little yellow and phthalo blue. What do we get? Sort of an interesting green here, okay? So basically what I'm going to do is just sort of sweep these colors underneath here like that. Just to kind of cover the canvas. Now, John, when we get to be about 100 people, do we have 100 people here yet?
Oh my, we have 100 people here yet. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so remember, today's the day we're doing the, you know, we're going to announce the winners.
242.
All right, so listen, thank everybody for coming here. We're going to announce the winner who won that painting. So, well, this could dry a little bit, see? Now, see, already that's kind of pretty, right? And you know, we've got this dark blue, and we've got these light colors, and we're sort of sweeping this along here. And this is really, this is not a figurative abstract. This is really non-figurative abstract, okay? And then you could, for instance, one of the things you could do is just sort of clean your brush on the sides of the canvas like that. You could if you wanted to, because you know, I always say that you can either you know, flush it down the drain under the sink when you wash the brush, or just sort of, you know, get the edge of it like that, okay? So all right, here we go, something like that. Oh, that's pretty. All right, so that's all I'm going to do with this, and the rest we're going to do with palette knife. How's that? but I needed a base. I needed something underneath here, okay, that we could work from. So while that's drying for a minute, you want to take a minute and we'll see who won our marvelous picture.
Yes.
Let's do that because I know everybody's waiting. And we want to thank, we had, how many entries did we have, John?
285.
285 entries. I think that's pretty good to win this painting. And all you had to do was read our newsletter and we'll do this again because I think this was, I'm so happy. We're going to, I don't care where you lived in the world, I'm going to send it to you. We're not going to ask you for postage. We're going to send it to you because you read our newsletter and we appreciate it and you entered our contest.
We appreciate that.
And like I say, out of 2,000 newsletters that we sent out, we had over 1,000 of them opened. Okay.
So we have a big bucket.
We have a big bucket with how many entries, John? Let's just move.
285.
285 entries. Do you guys see that? Can you see my bucket? What? Here. How do they see the bucket?
See, there it is.
See the bucket? Woo! Woo! That's the big bucket. Incidentally, this is one of the water buckets. I want to just talk about that. We use the baby bucket here. We use the baby bucket for the water, and it comes in two sizes. And I bought that
There's only these two sizes?
Yeah, and I bought that a long time ago, thinking that would even be handier, and it really wasn't. And I lost the handle, and it really kind of makes a wastebasket. So in case you were wondering whether you wanted a great big one like this, I don't know, unless you want it for a drawing like we're doing. I don't know why you'd want it. Just a little personal review here. All right, so we've got 280 names. I'm going to close my eyes. And we don't know. We want to thank everybody. And I'm going to pull out a name. One name like this. One name. And the name is what?
Tanya Staggs.
Tanya Staggs.
Toniastaggs.
Tanya
You
Staggs.
are the winner.
You are the winner.
Woo!
Of the, now wait, do we have any runners up for a week or something?
Of course we do.
We're going to do some runners up here.
But I have to make sure this I get.
Yeah, Tanya Staggs. John's going to make sure she gets it. Maybe we'll do a couple other runners up here since you didn't go. But anyway, Tanya Staggs won Honduras Getaway, and
All right, let's start off with.
So now we're going to do
month. This one's for a 3 month.
3 month.
Should we have you more bigger?
I don't know. He wants me more bigger.
I'm gonna make you more bigger.
Oh, that's a good idea. Let's do me more bigger.
Watch me do this. Watch me do this.
All right, switch me to more bigger. All right, that was this. More bigger.
And you're bigger. Now you're in the middle.
I'm in the middle? Okay, all right, so I'm more bigger. Okay, so now, so what is this one for?
This is gonna be 1 month of lessons from us. If you're a current member, 3 downloads.
Either 3 free downloads if you're a current member, or if you're not a member, you get 1 free month of gingercooklive.gallery. How's that? Okay?
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Right? So
Here we go.
here's the next name.
Next name is Candace Kreider, Crider.
Candace Kreider. Okay, so I don't recognize that name. It's
Can you give me that pencil over yonder? Sticking out.
yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so Candace won 1 month. Now we're going to go for 1 week. 1 week free membership, Ginger Cook Live.
2 weeks. Now.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Free membership, gingercooklive.gallery, or 2 downloads. All right? Either one. 2 free downloads or 2, or 2 weeks. Okay? Ready?
Yep. I'm ready. Ooh, drum roll.
Drum roll.
And it is Marilyn Ray.
Marilyn Ray. All right, Marilyn Ray. All right, so 2 free weeks. And then the last one is a week. 1 week.
Or a download.
A week or a download, gingercooklive.gallery. Okay? And these all come with personal art coaching. All right? And it could be either your painting or one of mine. Okay, here's the last one.
Carol LaFontaine.
Carol LaFontaine. All right, so those are our winners tonight. We want to thank everybody for participating. Appreciate it very much. You guys were fun. It was great fun, and you never know, sometimes the force is with you. You won, right? Just okay. So great fun. My paint's over here. Let's take this painting out of the way now, so we don't risk anything happening to it. It is gone, right?
Sold.
Sold
to the highest bidder.
Sold. All right. So again, we thank you for that. I don't know. Did this software allow us to type a winner across the top of our screen?
If somebody was over here could do that instead of over there helping the whole thing.
All right. So maybe he can do that. Okay. So we're back down to me. If you want to put that.
Wait, I gotta turn This one?
He's got to turn that one off, and he's going to put it down. We're going to start with our abstract. It's not totally dry, but it's good enough, right? Incidentally, tomorrow night we're going to be painting on YouTube. We're going to go back to the flowers again. I know you guys like flowers. So tomorrow night we're going to be doing this painting. It's from one of our old dead guys. You're going to love it. We'll talk about that tomorrow. That's on... Oh, no, but it's got to be, it's one of our three. It's either Monet, Renoir, or Cezanne. I think it's Renoir, but we'll go back and see. But I love the fact that this background was multicolored. It was some sort of weird wallpaper, that was back there. So anyway, I thought this was pretty. We're going to be doing this tomorrow night. Hope you join us. All right, so I've made a little sketch. I know this won't make sense to anybody, but I made a little sketch in the sense that I want sort of my lights coming through here like that. Sort of I'm going to put my center of interest. If you did a tic-tac-toe like that, I'm going to just do it on here like that. Will that do it? Here, like tic-tac-toe, because this isn't completely dry, like that. We're going to say our center of interest is in here somewhere, kind of crossing in there. All right. So the first thing, now we're just going to, now this, I got to tell you, palette knife painting takes up a huge amount of paint. I mean, it uses it up like crazy. So then you can say, well, what could I do if I didn't want that to happen? Because it uses about 10 times more paint than normal. So, and also we're using heavy body paint. Flat paint ain't going to do it, okay? Someone's going to say, well, can I have this? Can I use it? No. But you could. Yes, you could if you used a gel, like a light modeling paste or something like that, or a light gel. You could definitely do that. But there's a drying time, and sometimes we're going to try to do this, and we're not going to take a lot of time tonight to do it, but we're going to try to do this in some sort of reasonable time. So we're going to come, and I'm keeping in mind, let's see, where did my little thing go? I'm just using this as a reference, my little color reference of what I want here. So I think I want to start coming in with some greens. So I'm going to take some yellow and some yellow oxide like that, and a little ultramarine blue. And I'm going to get some army greens. And the trick with stuff like this is you don't mix it very much, right? See that? Maybe a little bit of phthalo in there, okay? Maybe I'll put a little tiny bit of white in there, a little bit more ultramarine blue. Okay, so now I'm going to scrape this up like this. You see I've got this blob here on my, and I'm going to come along here like this. And I'm just going to let it float across the top of it and maybe let some of this show through. See? That's all I'm doing. And you see I've got this almost bacon effect, that kind of, now I'm going to put a little white, maybe a little phthalo, and I'm going to scrape it up, and I'm going to come next to this and just kind of look at the angle. See how the angle is? The paint's underneath me. If I push down flat, it's going to do this, okay? And then there's a little bit left on the palette knife here, and I'm just going to come along here and push it like that, push it into my canvas. So I've got kind of the stream going, all right?
We've got a couple of people that are just joining us, and Charlotte's asking, I'm sorry, but what are we painting?
Well,
somebody comes in and looks at this, they're totally confused.
Well, what we're doing is we're doing an abstract. We're talking about an abstract, and we're starting off with an abstract, and it's going to be mostly,
Frisky says we're doing bacon.
We're doing bacon. Yeah, we're doing bacon. We're just Frisky's doing bacon. We're doing an abstract, and we're doing palette knife painting. Sometimes we do a lot of flowers and stuff that's really uptight with everybody. I want you to just relax, have fun with the colors, see what happens. Look at this beautiful color in here from the color that was underneath the painting. All right. So I'm going to take some white now. I want something kind of pale, maybe a little phthalo green. That's pretty. And I'm going to put a little bit of ultramarine blue with that. That's pretty. And I'm going to scrape it up like this. So it's all on this side of the knife. And let's see, I'm into my blue tones. So maybe I'm going to come over here. Ooh, I love that. Don't you love those colors right like that? Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So I mean, I like that. And that's pretty. I think I'll do that again. That was pretty. A little bit of white. I want you to see how fast the colors are going. And this is phthalo green. All right, I'm going to scrape it up like this. And I'm going to come this way. Come in here like that and just sort of skip it like that. Maybe down this way, okay? Now, if you zoom back out a little bit for me, John, you're awfully close. Can you get out any farther away?
We have the full thing.
We're
close on your camera.
Okay, so you're, okay.
I can back you out up there.
If you can back me out on there, so I need to kind of see what I'm doing. All right, so this is what I've got so far. Now, at this point, you probably want, paper towels are helpful when you're using palette knife painting because there's a lot, you've got to clean your knife occasionally. And I don't like to use rags for that, it gums them up. So I'm going to just kind of clean off my knife here. You can see that one I'm using. It's got a little bend to it. I got this at Jerry's. It's a number T6 Creative Mark. And the reason I like the Jerry's Artorama palette knives, the reason I like those is because I can leave them in water and forget them and for days and they're still fine. You sock folders wouldn't get that, but but those of you who fold your socks and are neat, you don't leave anything lying anywhere going, what you talking about? I don't know, no idea. We don't have to go to a different room, do we?
I don't know. Hang on. Back. Nope, it says we're back. Let me see when you come back up. Let's see where you are.
Are we back up?
Yeah. Oh, I like that feature.
Okay, so we're back up. You can see where I've added a little more blue-green through here, okay? And maybe I'm going to come up into this corner and do something here, like that. Kind of come back this way. I'm keeping everything kind of flowing back and forth like this. That's my plan, all right? Then I'm going to take a little bit of white and kind of come this way with it. And pull a little white here. I'm barely touching it because I've got white right on the top of here and I'm barely going to touch it. And I'm going to come here like this and kind of shake the knife like this. Just say that I want this to be a little lighter in here. The trick is don't cover up your whole underpainting. You leave some of it showing, all right? So that you have some layers going. For instance, I need to cover some of this. That doesn't do anything for me, but you want to sort of do that. So let's see. Let's take some phthalo blue and ultramarine blue, little Dazzling purple. Let's come over here like this and come over this one. Ooh, that's pretty. I like this, whatever we did here. There's a little edge of blue here that's nice. And I'm going to grab a little bit of white. I'm all out of white. So now this is what happens. You run out of paint really quick. So I'm going to come over here like this. We'll see, put more white out. Okay. Now a little bit of phthalo blue in here like this. Tiny bit of cad red with it to kind of gray it. Okay. Now I'm right on top of this dark blue that I did, and I'm pushing pretty hard using just the heel, and I'm allowing something. You're going to get some, look, isn't that pretty? I mean, that's really pretty. So if I have that dark there, where else might I want some dark? Maybe up in here somewhere I might want to now I'm layering on top, right? So let's pull a little bit of blue here, but now I'm layering on top. And I'm just coming this way, okay? And then I'll stop. Now, it almost, part of it, your mind says, I want to just say this is waves at the beach or something. Doesn't it kind of look like that now? And then it would be so easy to just turn this into a sand beach, turn this into waves, or I don't know. I mean, and it's really hard. Abstracts are hard to do because your mind is like the ink block test. Your mind wants to turn around and make it into something. It just does. It can't help its little self. It wants to do that, all right? So I want to sit there and I'm looking at my rainbow rose here. So part of me wants to just turn this into, some sort of awesome waves, right? And, it would be easy enough to do, and it would still be an abstract if I did that, right? It would still be an abstract because it's sort of an abstract beach scene, and I could do that. For instance, in fact, part of me really wants to do that. You know that, John? Part of me really wants to see what would happen if I did that, because now I'm inspired by something else. Okay, so if I'm saying that that's the ocean back here, and I'm saying that we've got some waves coming back this way, and I'm barely touching now. I haven't dried anything, but you see how I'm floating this basically on top of here like that, on top of those greens. See that? Okay. So then if I were to say that this in here was a sand beach, put a little bit of cad red medium and yellow together, okay, and a little purple, kind of make a sort of a, kind of an orangey beach color, right, kind of a brown beach color, just saying, right? So if I were to say that if I were to come in here like this, and just pull that color on, and maybe some white with it, Just saying, you know, I mean, sometimes when you're doing something like this, it'll hit you that it reminds you of something else, right? So now let's see, I'm gonna have to get more. Bottom line is that this takes up a huge amount of paint, okay? So here's a little bit more yellow oxide and some white.
With that question, how long will something like this take to dry?
Oh, this will be dry because we're not using any gels with this. This will dry right away. Okay?
It'll be dry by tomorrow.
It'll be dry by tomorrow. Okay, and I'm just going to pull this off this way like this. Okay, so I'm just saying that there's this yellow coming on top of here like that. Ooh, that's pretty, isn't it? Just okay. So I'm just saying that there's our, you know, we're saying that there's our sandy beach, right, like that. Remember, it's an abstract, so we're just saying maybe it is, right? But so far, I mean, I kind of like that. That's sort of, you know, that's pretty. I'm not a big fan of this right there. So now what? Well, I'll just come across here like this, barely touch it. And just, you know, maybe just pull that out a little bit so there's not such a big hunk of that dark gold. I can still leave some of it. That's pretty. Can still leave some of it and still have it here. Now, if it's a little bit different. Let's say we've got the waves kind of coming in toward the beach here. So maybe we're saying that the beach is still going this way.
You want to welcome all the new people.
Oh yeah, thanks for coming. Isn't this sort of fun? And thanks to welcome everybody that's you know, finally said, oh, you know, I saw you maybe over, you know, Cinnamon mentioned you, my daughter, you know, Cinnamon, Cooney the Art Sherpa, and maybe somebody mentioned us, and we thank you very much for, you know, for coming and for showing, you know. And yeah, oh gosh, you know, we never remember to say that at the beginning. You know.
You're gonna have to repeat what I'm saying because they can't hear me.
Yeah, please subscribe. That would be just a lovely thing to do if you haven't done it already. My watermark you can subscribe on. There's different tricky ways. If you hit that little bell thing underneath the subscribe button there on your screen, the let's see, putting out more phthalo blue. What happens is that then next time we go live, you're notified, sort of. Not that kind of. You know, it sort of works and sort of doesn't. It's just one of those, you know, funny little things, you know. Some people are notified and others, you know. Isn't it interesting? The whole thing with YouTube to me is so interesting. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of this blue here. All right, we're going for waves now. That's what we said, right? So I'm going to say that this is a wave coming this way. This is coming this way, right, like that. We're going to say that that's this wave. This wave is breaking here, right? Okay, so we're saying that that wave's breaking there, and then maybe there's one breaking back here. Okay, something like that. All right, so now what does that mean? Well, the top of this has to be, here's the white. Now look at how much white I've got on here, and I'm just taking it. I'm barely touching this, and I'm saying it's breaking this way. See? Now, I mean, did you see how much white that took to do that? Now that's why you want the gels, right? Okay.
So now you mix the gels completely with your paint?
You can go up to 50. Well, no, you just, you know, you add some gel and some paint and kind of mix as you go. You go up to about 50-50, all right? And that's how you can get away with that. You can do that for about 50-50. So then we were going to say, all right, so if we're saying that this happened here, which we did, so we're saying that happened there, then I'm sort of out of white. Did you see how fast the white just sort of disappeared? Yeah, so that's there, okay? So now I'm going to take my palette knife because I've got a lot of paint on it. I'm just going to wipe that off. This is tough for people to do because there's a lot of paint that happens. And so in order for it to work, you've got to put this on thick like frosting. All right, so here it is here, and I'm going to pull it. See that? And I'm going to pull it like this, pull it up on one side, and then put my, see?
Very wave-like.
Yeah, and then that's the movement, right, like that. And see how it's kind of blending in and melting in. And then what about back here? Is there something moving back here? Is there some waves that are going to be moving back here like this? Like that. Is there another line of waves that are coming forward? So then you've got to be careful because you don't want to dig in anywhere, but you might want to suggest, waves are smaller as they get back. So you might want to suggest just something like this happening back here as like that. Because remember, it's your abstract now, okay? So now right down here, we need something. So let's take some phthalo green, and some white right down here like that. That's pretty. And let's come back this way. Let's sweep this back this way from the back of our wave like that. Let's just do that. Let's just sweep that back like that. We can do that. And then maybe we'll just scrape off a little like that. Maybe sweep this back like that. Okay, that sort of worked. And let's see, you see me scraping off a little bit here. It's a little bit of purple. Maybe we want something pretty dark right here. Now at this point it's pretty wet, right? So we have to be kind of careful, but I'm going to just pull some dark here like this in between, like a little bit of dark. All right, so now I've said that that's going to be our wave like that. These are kind of our waves. Now, do we want one wave that's a little bit more majestic than another? Well, maybe we could do that. Well, I'm just saying, you know, do we want this one to kind of come up here? So, I mean, how much could we get away with before we had to dry? I mean, how wet could we make this? All right.
Piper's asking, how are you keeping it from turning into mud? The colors are staying pretty pure.
Because I'm not I'm being very careful, Piper, and I'm not mixing complements together. You know, I don't have wet complements on top of wet complements. All right, so I'm going to say that I want this wave here to kind of come up like this and over. See that? There we go. That's it. I want that one to be a little bit more. Let's see, let's just pull it like this. There we go. Ah, better. Okay. Now, a little white on top of some of that. Okay. Sorry. So those are my little waves coming to shore here like that. Now it's sort of flat in between here like this. Okay, like that. Now let's see, what else could we do? All right, so what I want to do for a second here, okay, I'm just having fun with this now. What I want to do for a second is I'm not sure that I like any of this, right? Like this back here. This doesn't do it for me.
You're scraping it off.
I'm scraping it off. See, because I didn't like it. See? And that's okay. I mean, it's not if you're concerned about wasting paint, it isn't, but it's okay if you're not, right? So I'm going to scrape it off and see what else I can come up with, because I didn't like that, okay? It didn't feel too wavy to me, but I kind of like this. Now let's try this again. Let's just try this without kind of mixing them all together. Let's see what I've got here, okay? So now if I come back here like this and do more like this, we're going to say these are the waves, and we're not seeing that much back here. Let's see what that does. See? I mean, you know, can you get away with this? You know, if you don't like it, can you scrape it off? You bet. You just scrape it off. Yeah. And that's the thing about palette knife painting, that sort of, it's an adventure, all right? A little bit like watercolor, because if you don't like it, you can change it, and trust me, it's an acrylic. You can dry your canvas too, but let's just for the sake of argument here, I'm just going to scrape back all of this, right? Now, okay, just for the sake of argument, I'm going to scrape back all of that because I did like that wave action here. I like this wave here, and I like all this orange here. So what do I want to happen here? Well, maybe I just want some phthalo green and some of these colors in here like this, to just be in here and not say too much. So I'm going to come back in here with just some phthalo green and say, here's my ocean, in here like that. And I don't want it to say too much. And then I'm going to put more white, okay, in a new place like that, okay. And I'm going to suggest that there's some stuff going on here. Now remember, we were just doing an abstract, and then we decided to do an abstract ocean, right? So I'm going to just come up here like this. Maybe something like that. That's nice. I like that. Maybe there's a splash back up here like this. There we go. Okay, so I'm barely touching it, and I'm just indicating frothy waves. There we go. Just touching it. Yeah, see, I mean, you're not stuck with anything. Okay? So that's pretty. I like that. So far, so good. Okay? So then in here, usually what happens in here, like when the waves are coming to shore, what happened in here? Well, somewhere in here, there was this white frothy stuff that comes up here. Remember how your waves kind of, they come up here like this and they come around like that? And you've got this sort of frothy stuff. So now I'm just taking this knife and coming around here like that, suggesting that there's that, okay? So there's that one, okay? I'm using the white, look how thick that white is, right? I'm going to do a little bit of white edge here, okay? So I'm saying that there's that, right? Now, okay, so far so good. Now, I want a little of this gold back here somewhere. So I'm going to just...
Hey, say goodnight to Lady White Fang.
Hey, White, night, darling. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I want a little bit of white yellow here, but not there. So let's bring some green up right here. There you go. I want a little yellow right back here. You know how sometimes you can see the sand through the waves? You ever notice that? Sometimes when the waves are real thin, if they're coming to shore, you can kind of, sometimes you can see the sand. I'm barely touching it, and I'm floating this color on top like that. And barely touching it. You can see that sand through there, okay? Now this is an abstract. There's sort of some imagination involved here. We haven't gotten too nuts about it, okay? You'll see me, constantly wiping my brush. All right, now I'm going to go back with a little more white. Now here's where another palette's helpful, because once you start mixing on a palette like this, here's another palette, and I know you can't see it because of the white, right? But I know you didn't like to use the white, but I have to have a clean palette, all right, to do this. And I'm going to say, here's my next wave. I'm barely touching it. I'm going to say that here's my next one, okay, right, like that. Now, let me show you what happens when I take the dryer and just skin this over, what I can do, because this is about what I could do before we skin the dryer. Does that make sense? And the dryer skins the paint, okay? So we're going to just, I can do a little of this, with a little bit of this, I can suggest a little of this with the, suggesting some waves like this, a little bit like this, but which is nice if it's wet, because you can kind of carve it a little bit. But at some point I want it to skin over so I can do another layer. And I don't want all of this to blend. So I'm going to take a minute and just do the dryer real quick. And if you got any announcements you want to make to anybody, John, that's great.
Okay, I turned her off, guys. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm not sure. I appreciate you guys hanging in there as we're playing with this new software we got, and some new hardware. There's a lot of things I can do with it, and so we're getting used to it. Let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Who knows for sure, right? I don't even know if you can see me anymore. Anyways, if you haven't not visited our website, gingercooklive.gallery, please give us a try. We're over there on your favorite internet system. gingercooklive.gallery, that's our membership website where we have over 300 lessons currently available for your learning and viewing pleasure. Just kind of reading some of these. Oh good, you can hear me. Good deal. So what I've done is I've turned the audio on my little microphone up there. Now I'm going to have to turn me off, and we have to go back to her. Her. Okay, her.
Okay, so this is not dry. All I did was just sort of skin over the top of this. If I were to dig down, it's still wet, right? So the trick is when you're doing a sort of an abstract this is sort of a figurative abstract in that we're suggesting waves. You see what I mean? Without really painting an ocean. In other words, we're not painting an ocean. We're just doing an abstract and suggesting waves and kind of creating lots of color. I'm going to just pull this in here like that. See, I can still scrape like that and change something a little bit if I want to. You've got a little bit of leeway to change things. And let's see, where did we put that white paint? Because that's sort of fun. I'm still enjoying the the white paint, and I've got some smaller. Let's see, I've got to put the white on this canvas right here, like that, on this palette paper. All right, so here's a little tinier palette knife, right? And I want to say that right here, I want a little bit of just a white cap coming over. Barely touch it. Always keep it on one side of the knife. Hold it and then pull. We've got a really great video on YouTube on how to use a palette knife and how to do some of these little tricks like that. Okay, so we're saying that there's that wave right there, right? Even though, okay, so then how about here like this? Like that, okay? I'm barely touching it, okay? And I'm just going to say that just, you know, in here there's those holes, you know, in the waves like that, kind of in the sand. There's a little...
Joan is asking what would be your point of interest in this particular abstract?
Well,
Where would your eye be going?
Well, right now your eye's going to the lightest light and the darkest dark, which is right there.
Yeah.
That's your lightest light and your darkest dark, and that's really where your center of interest is, wouldn't you say? You know, that's pretty much got to be it, because that's where your, okay, your eye's going right here. And again, this is skinned over, so I can, see, I mean, I'm kind of creating this sort of splashing, you know, wave action back here. Okay, back like this. Kind of break that up a little bit, but that's, it's almost, it has a sort, it's sort of a neat feel. I kind of like this. It's sort of fun, isn't it? Just sort of different. And I think I want to just sort of connect this one. There you go. I'm barely touching it. All right, and just saying that there's that. And let's see, what could we do that would make it sort of, so right into here, like, and I like all our sand color. I want to bring some sand color and stuff, and I want to bring something back here. And there's a, this is a little bright back here for me. You know, so I don't know if I'm going to keep this palette knife or get the other one. Let's just put this one down for a minute like that, and let's just play back here. You know, when you're painting, you know, you're just kind of watching me create as I'm going, because I'm just making this up for you as I go, right? But I'm just going to say, like, for instance, I did scrape it, you know, I'm going to come here like this, and just maybe do that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and I kind of like that, and that kind of that action, right? Kind of turmoil up here. And let's put a little bit of that gold color. Part of me wants a little rust color, so I'm going to take a little bit of red. Because, you know, turquoise and red are complements, okay? So when you've got all this turquoise blue, if you can figure out how to throw some of that in there without getting too crazy. Let's see, that's not quite right. Let's get some more yellow. You can tell from that color it's not quite right. Okay. I want a little bit red, but, you know, okay, so I want to just say in here, barely touching it now. I want to just indicate there might be a little sand underneath here. Maybe a little sand color here. And what about in here? Okay, let's clean the knife off so we don't have any green on it. Okay. What about in here? Can we add a little bit of orange color in here like that? A little bit brighter. Let's start it with a new place on the palette. That's part of it, is that, you know, once your palette gets really dirty, you've got to change it, and I don't, okay, so I want this sort of brighter orange color like this. And I'm going to just, don't like that color either, so hang on. I'll get it in a minute. I don't like that color, so let me just move everything over here to this other palette. Move this one out of the way. Because if I have any blue, or somebody said, how do you keep the complements, or how do you keep the colors from getting muddy? Well, you've got to keep the complements away from each other. So I want a bright, light orange color, okay? So I've got cad red medium and yellow, okay? And I want to pull a little of that, and I'm going to turn this around, okay, like this, because part of it is, you know, because I'm right-handed, so I'm going to pull a little of this beach color in here like that. I'm barely just floating this on top of here like that, and it's dry enough where I can get away with that. Here's a little of that other one. Okay, I'm going to put a little of that beach color here. And maybe a tiny bit of this, I don't know, maybe we'll just float a little bit of this back here. We'll see what happens if we float some.
Did that to me again.
What? Did what?
You go from the right to the left, and all of a sudden, I thought you went over to the palette or something, but you didn't.
No, I'm
I
just...
zoomed in a little bit while you've been doing this action.
No, but there's really nothing to see. I'm barely touching the... I'm barely touching this. I'm barely touching this, and I'm just sort of floating this flat in here, and I'm just saying, because remember, I'm still playing with my abstract, so let me turn it around now. This is the direction I want it, okay? So, okay, so, all right, so that's what I want to have happen here, okay? So, so then I'm just going to put this way. Look, again, have fun with this, and just don't be too concerned about it's okay. Let's see, let's try a little bit of, I think I had some magenta here.
Can you add cad yellow light to this?
You could.
Okay, you can't just say you could.
You could add, Manette's asking if you could add cad yellow light to this. Yes, Manette, you could. You could add all kinds of things to this. Okay, so I'm going to say that. I'm used to John talking, so I figured that everybody's hearing him too, and you're not. So again, I'm just still trying to figure out how to get my colors going here. And here's some white, here's some yellow, here's the yellow and this. I want these two colors. This is, oh, there you go. See that beautiful orange? That's magenta. That's magenta, and yellow.
That's the regular cad yellow?
Yeah, the cad yellow, and that's a little magenta because I wanted just a little bit of color in there for this. I mean, just a tiny bit of color creeping in here like this.
That would be the ginger color.
Yeah, okay, so that would, yeah, that one, a little bit of that, okay.
Look at that.
That's pretty. I mean, again, we're playing around here. What could you do? I mean, you're sitting there saying warm and cool colors. This is pretty much cool. We're adding just a touch of warm in places. I think that was a good point she made. Could you add cad yellow light? Do we have any? We have some. I have some cad yellow light. So let's just.
Golly, we're going to add it.
Let's add it. Okay. Let's just. What the heck? Let's just clean this knife off now. Let's just take a little cad yellow light, and I think I want some white with it, because that's even too bright. Okay. Gonna put a little white with that. Now, barely touch it. In here like this. So what would happen if we added it? See? In here like that. See? I think what happens is it starts fighting with this, right? So that doesn't really look good. So no, we don't want cad yellow light. But it was a good question, and you could have put it with it and see what happens. Because again, we don't want to fight with the, this is kind of our center of interest. So all we're trying to do here is add just a little color, just add a little color surprise. A little bit of cad red. Yeah, with that, yeah, we just want a little bit of contrast here. To this, for our ocean, because I'm going to dry this and then come over this with something else. This will be a color that sort of sits underneath here, like that. So I'm going to dry it just for a second. I don't want to come over this with something else. So I do kind of like all this up in here, and I think we could have something dark back up in this corner. Okay, like this. I just think that there needs to be a little dark back up in here. There we go. Bring some of this dark back in here like that. All right, good. All right, like that. So now we're going to do something different with this. Let's see, where'd that little palette knife go? I threw that around here somewhere. Where'd that go? Ah, here it is. All right, so where's the white? So, okay, so we didn't play any trivia today. So we got to play it. We can't play it. We don't have a mic. But we'll figure this out eventually. We don't have a mic. Though I could ask the question, John.
Yeah, you could probably do a better job than I could, but
All
you
right.
know the answer. So how are we going to be stumping you?
Well, you just tell me what the question is, John.
Oh, yeah, I think we can do that.
This is a no-brainer, honey. You just tell me what the question is, and then I'll repeat it, all right? So I'm going to answer. We're going to play art trivia while we're fooling around with this, right? You're watching me do my funny little abstract. Art trivia is 4. We have question number 4. We have a Stump the Artist game, and John will tell me what the question is, and then I will tell you. Okay.
Which of these cathedrals does not have stained glass windows by Marc Chagall?
Marc Chagall?
Marc Chagall.
I didn't know any of them had stained glass windows by Marc Chagall. So the question is, which of these cathedrals did not have any stained glass windows by Marc Chagall? And I'm saying I had no idea that any cathedrals had stained glass windows by Marc Chagall. So we're all going to be surprised, but I don't know, John. What do you think?
Okay, we have a choice of 3. Paris, Reims, R-E-I-M-S, and Mertz, M-E-T-Z, or Metz.
Paris, Reims, and Mertz. Oh, do you like this little back wave I just added back here?
Oh, that's nice.
See? I had to think about this for a minute, right? I think about this craziness for a minute. So what we were going to do here. So which of these cathedrals did not have a stained glass window by Marc Chagall? Have anybody ever seen his work, Chagall's? You guys,
Have you?
yeah, every once in a while when I'm looking up dead guys, I think I might pick him, and then I look at his work and go, nope. Let me tell you what I really think, right? So interesting. All right, so I'm trying to make this, kind of, how the wave kind of comes to shore, and there's this little kind of white edge here that comes out in front of the wave like this, where it's been out and then kind of goes back like that. See?
Chrissy says Paris.
Chrissy says Paris.
Kimson says I have no idea.
Kimson has no idea. She's like me. Like I said, I had no idea the guy was doing stained glass windows. Maybe he did better with those. Sorry.
Cheryl's asking a question in the middle of this, but Ginger, what was the name of that art movie you mentioned on Amazon?
Oh, the one you want to watch, I found on Netflix. It was called The Art of the Steal.
Art of the Steal?
Mm-hmm.
Art of the Steal.
Yeah. The Art of the Steal is the movie I mentioned on Amazon that you might want to try and watch. And I found it on Netflix. It's called The Art of the Steal.
Paris. Jane says Reims. LeBlanc says Paris. Lori says the Mert. Reims for Sherry.
All right. Okay. I've got to say it too. Doesn't? All right. Sherry said what?
Sherry said Reims.
Sherry said Reims. Mark said what? Who said what? You say it, but I have to say it because nobody can hear John.
Well, they can almost hear it.
Okay.
They can kind of hear me.
Oh, they can kind of
We'll
hear?
work on this for tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll have to do a thing. The Art of the Steal. Thank you, Kimson, for writing that in there. All right, so what are you guessing, ma'am?
Oh gosh, I'm
Yeah, at least
thinking Paris because I think in Paris is Notre Dame, and I think they already had some stuff long before Chagall showed up.
You'd be correct.
Ha ha. Ah,
So you
yes.
applied logic.
I applied logic. I mean, the friend. I mean, I saw his stuff, and I'm trying to think of those guys going, nope, not a chance.
You're not using any mixing whiting here, correct?
No, I'm not using any mixing white. I'm just taking here and just sort of doing,
You're globbing it on.
just kind of globbing it on and kind of creating this little wavy action here, right? I mean, this is sort of that's sort of fun, isn't it?
I think it's great.
We got, again, this is the kind of thing that kind of comes from your imagination. I'm not saying do this, do your own thing, but play with it, get a sense of playing with the colors and be willing to just eat paint. Just be willing to just
That movie you're mentioning about Amazon, is that about art that was stolen?
well, what happened was, and then the reason I mentioned it's a really good reminder to all artists to sign your name. When you're talking about, and this is important, somebody always says, how do I sell my artwork? What was Paris was the answer, by the way, for anybody that wondered. How do I sell my artwork? That's the question. How do I sell it? What can I do to sell my artwork, right? And the trick is, okay, the trick is that you want to sell the artist, not the art, okay? People don't say, I've got this great little lily pond hanging in my house. They tell you, I own a Monet, right? And they don't really ever rip which Monet it is. They just got a Monet, okay?
I like that.
And so when look, all artists in a period of career, artists have got some dud paintings. They've got some really good ones. No question about it. There's some duds in all of it, okay? So, the question is, I'm going to swirl around some color in here too, like that. See where it's hit the ground here like that. Ooh, pretty. Isn't that kind of cool? I'm going to swirl some of this orange around in here too. Barely touching it. So in an artist's career, there's going to be some real brilliant ones that people remember and just love. And then there's also some also-rans, but if the artist is famous enough, people are just happy to have anything they did. And so you can't look at a body of work of an artist and, like, for instance, Monet had like 800 paintings. As all 800, were they all phenomenal? No. But a lot of them were. Some of them were really outstandingly so gorgeous, and they were used, and artists grow up over time. But when they get real famous, then what happens is that then anything they touch practically is collectible, all right? You know, like the Midas touch. So then people may own up a painting that isn't as beautiful, but for one thing, what makes that painting worth something is the fact that the guy signed it. So in the movie The Art of the Steal, you I guess that was that wasn't the one about signatures. The Art of the Steal was how an American billionaire, he was the Bill Gates of his time. About 1900, he popped over to France and he went and he bought Monets and Renoirs and Cézannes and all those guys, Picassos and Gauguins and the whole group, you know. And he bought their paintings before anybody thought they were worth anything. And he came over to Philadelphia and he wanted a big show in this big art museum in Philadelphia Art Museum, and they told him no. So anyway, he built his own museum, and the only way you could ever see this, they did the best of all of their stuff, the best of all of it. You know, I told you that in any collection there's some good and some bad stuff. He had a friend that was an artist who picked out the best of anything those guys did. And so the movie The Art of the Steal is how they got away with the state of Pennsylvania. Is that where Philadelphia is? Pennsylvania, yeah. Managed to steal the artwork after the guy died from his trust. You can now see it. They finished a museum a few years ago, a special museum, and you can see it. So as a consumer, I'm glad I can see it, because otherwise never would have seen those works. But conversely, on the other hand, it's a shame that that wasn't protected. I think, and my feeling was that art all should have been protected, because it better than it was. But in any event, you can now see it. That's a really good movie. And then the other one I wanted you to see was Who in the Bleep is Jackson Pollock? That was the one where he didn't sign a painting. And then the debate was whether it was worth it or not. That was the one I wanted you to see. Okay, let's see. Let's take a little orange and put over here. All right, so we want to congratulate our winners tonight. Do you have the names of those again, John, for anybody that came in late? We did the winner of the Honduras painting. Do you remember who that was? We can tell people. Okay.
Looking boss. That was Tanya Stacks.
All right, that was Tanya Stacks. Okay, Tanya, congratulations on winning the Honduras painting. We will send you an email and you can get in touch with us so we can figure out how to get you that picture. Okay, so.
Candace Kreider, Crider, 1 month or 3 downloads.
Candace Kreider, 1 month of free art lessons or 3 downloads on a gingercooklive.gallery site, which is kind of cool. So you've won that. And
Marilyn Ray, 2 weeks or 2 downloads.
Marilyn Ray won 2 weeks or 2 downloads. Okay.
And Carol LaFontaine, 1 week or 1 download.
1 week or 1 download. Okay.
You have to say the name.
Carolyn LaFontaine won 1 week or 1 download.
There you go.
All right, so I've said the names in here like that. I'm just looking to see where else, if I see any else I want to put a little bit of color surprise here. Do I want to put anything else? Anything, and I like some of this color back here a little bit, you guys. But I think we're pretty much done. I think we're going to call this done, John.
Oh, you're doing pretty good.
I mean, this is, how you take a little, here was another abstract we did earlier, which was, where did that go? This one. I mean, you can have fun. You can just have some fun playing with the paint and figuring out how to do the palette knife, or you can, create something. When this dries, could I come back? Maybe it might be very pretty to put pouring medium over the whole thing and make it look like it was under glass. I think I will do that for you guys. I'm going to put pouring medium over the whole thing when this dries.
Would you varnish it? If you weren't going to do that, would you varnish this?
Oh yeah, I would. I'd varnish it for sure.
Would you use a brush? Does it have a lot of pockets in it, or do you think you can brush it off?
Yeah, I probably would use a brush. I'd just be careful. But it has a lot of texture and pockets in it. And, there's a temptation to want to come back with the brush and, add detail and actually turn it into something. And for something like this, what I want it to be is an abstract. This is like a figurative abstract, suggesting water. That's what I want it to be. I don't want it to be, anything else, And, but when it was dry, could I come back and glaze over something? I mean, I might. I'll tell you what, when this dries tomorrow, if I fool with it, all right, if I fool with that,
We may film it.
I may film that and show you what else I could do with it. But it's so wet now that I'm sort of stuck with, I really can't do much more with it tonight because it's pretty, this is about as much as I can get here.
Well, I think it's looking pretty good.
So that's about as much as I can get here. I could come back, part of me, the artist in me says, well, maybe tomorrow I could come back and add some glazes. Put pouring medium over the whole thing. It's just the but what we've got here is just sort of a nice feeling of the ocean. That's what we're doing, the feeling of the ocean. So tomorrow night, what we're going to do for live, we're going to get back down to the business of flowers, and let's see, where did those? Yeah, here's what we'll be painting tomorrow night, 8x10 canvas. That should be fun. And the same, people always say, what colors do I need? Same ones we always use. We just mix the colors, right? So that's cad red medium, right? And you can see that's yellow oxide. That's made with ultramarine blue and yellow, some colors, and there's some purple in here. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow night. And again, this week for our members, gingercooklive.gallery. And remember, you can, if you wanted to paint this, when this is up, we usually get it up by Saturday. We might get it up sooner, but usually at least by Saturday we'll have it up on our website. We have over 300 lessons. And if you just wanted to paint this, you can join us for just 1 week and have access 24 hours a day to over 300 lessons. And you ought to be able to do this in a week if you just wanted to do this one for, $9.95. So feel free to do that. And if you haven't subscribed, we would appreciate you doing so. Do we have any further questions, John, about what we might do here? Anything else?
No, I think we're good.
So, again, I'm not going to quite sign this yet but again, this is so wet that this is, I don't think I'm done. I really don't think I'm done. But I will iCard whatever this is. I'll put an iCard in to the final picture. How's that? And the film of where it's going. So if you happen to watch this and you want to say, well, what did she end up doing? I'll iCard it when it's done. How's that? And we'll leave it up on YouTube.
What is an iCard, you might ask?
Well, the iCard is that little thing up on, those that little eye, and if you hit it, it has suggested videos and stuff. And remember, I've got some great videos on pouring your abstracts, on doing abstracts, on, we've got 4 or 5 fun abstract videos on YouTube if you're just in the mood to do abstracts, Aha, be fun.
There you go. All right, you want me to, I can close me out.
All right, John's going to close everybody out. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Have a creative day. See you tomorrow.
Night, everyone!
Night.
I'm assuming it's going to keep going for a